Minister Turnbull, did you or anyone acting on your behalf have any contact with NBN Co or its executives about this leaked material?
Well, can I just say to you that I'm not sure what you mean by that question, but the only issue here, the issue here is the integrity and the independence of the Australian Federal Police. Now, let me just make this point to you. It should be a matter of very great regret that the Leader of the Opposition and the Shadow Attorney General sought yesterday to attack the integrity of the Australian Federal Police. Now, Australians recognise that the national security of this country, of our nation, the safety of our people is indivisible. It involves our armed forces, it involves border protection, it involves police, the federal police, the state police. It is an indivisible chain of security. And the integrity of our police forces is absolutely critical. Now, the Australian Federal Police, when they conduct an investigation, firstly, they make their own decision as to whether to investigate, which they did in this particular case, and then how they conduct that investigation is theirs, their decision to make independently of government. Now, what Mr Shorten is seeking to do is to suggest that the Australian Federal Police have acted other than with integrity or other than independently, and he should be ashamed of doing so. We know, as the Commissioner said, that the AFP act with the utmost integrity and they act independently of government, as they should.
Do you accept that, given these documents were presupposed to be under parliamentary privilege, the AFP violated their own guidelines by having that NBN Co person present there and taking photographs?
Look, I can't comment on that. The documents. I note that there has been a claim of parliamentary privilege, made by Senator Conroy. The documents have not actually been tabled in Parliament, which is how parliamentary privilege is normally obtained. But I don't want to get into the legalities of Senator Conroy's determination to keep the police away from these documents, which were clearly stolen from the NBN Co. So he's trying to keep the police away from those. He's made a claim. Apparently, it will be dealt with by the Senate when the Senate reconvenes after the election. But all I can say to you is that the police acted independently and with integrity. My government respects that integrity and independence. It is a great pity that Mr Shorten, and in particular his Shadow Attorney General, plainly does not.
But did that within their own guidelines in that search?
Well, you would have to address that to the Commissioner.
Is it appropriate that you're a candidate for Fremantle is dumped given the circumstances, and how big a blow could this be for the government?
Well, the candidate has stated why he's stepped down, and
Appropriate he stepped down?
well, he's made that decision. I think it's an appropriate decision.
Prime Minister, don't you think the people need to know whether you or anyone in your office had contact with NBN Co about the leaks?
Well, can I say to you the fact that there were leaks from the NBN Co was a very public matter. In fact, Mr Morrow, I think, complained about it during a Senate hearing. Can I just say this to you about? Let's talk about the NBN for a moment, because this is a very important issue. We inherited a project from the Labor Party that was utterly failed. After 4 years, billions of dollars of expenditure, they had passed less than 2% of the all Australian premises. Now, very shortly, the NBN will have passed and be available to access at a quarter of all Australian premises. As you know, there's nearly 1 million customers on the NBN now. If you take Karen's electorate here, at the time of the last election, there was not one customer of the NBN in the whole electorate. Not one person could access a service even if they wanted to. There is now over 55,000 people premises I should say, that's businesses and homes like these, that can access the NBN. Across Dobell and Robertson, across the 2 Central Coast seats, there is well over 100,000 premises that can access the NBN. This electorate, the build of the NBN here, is more than half complete, and it will be complete by 2018. So we are proud of what we've done with the NBN. We inherited an utterly failed project. The Labor Party had no idea what it was costing. Do you know this is an important point to bear in mind. At the time we came into government, the NBN Co thought the cost of connecting a house premises with fibre was about $2,300. That was what they'd said. That was not the case. It wasn't the case then, it's not the case now. It's in fact about $3,600 plus another $700 in the capitalised costs of accessing the Telstra ducts and pipes and pits. Now, what that meant was that the Labor Party had no idea what this was costing. This was a project, a company that was completely dysfunctional. Now, we put in new management, a new board, we got it sorted out. There's a lot of money that has been wasted by Labor we can't get back, but we're getting it built. And so the NBN Co is a great example of what happens when you get strong leadership from a government that has strong management skills, that understands business and gets on with the job. And that's what we've achieved. You know, the Labor parties, if the Labor Party were to win government and they were to implement their NBN policy, this is what would happen. The people who have access to the NBN now, around 1 million, will have to pay more. They will end up paying a lot more for their broadband services. And those that are waiting for the NBN will not be having it all completed within the next few years, absolutely complete by 2020. They could be waiting up to 8 years longer. So that is the reality. Labor has never been able to treat this as a business exercise, as an engineering exercise. It is all ideology and politics. And you look at the way the NBN, look how accountable the NBN is. Under Labor, you never knew what they were doing. We publish, or the NBN publishes, its rollout statistics every single week. Not quarterly, not annually, every week. It publishes its financials every 3 months. It publishes a full set of accounts every 6 months, and of course an annual set of accounts. It updates its 3-year plan every year. The management has appeared, as many of you would know, because you've had to sit through those long and often tedious rants from Senator Conroy. The management appears again and again and again before the Senate committee. This is the most accountable and transparent government business enterprise you can imagine.
Prime Minister, just on this hunt for the person that was leaking, obviously this was...
Sorry, just start again, please.
Just on the hunt for this person that was leaking, obviously the NBN Co were trying to track them down. It appeared to be something that was condoned by the Minister. Obviously there were some damaging reports as a result of this, but wasn't this person, in their mind at least, also a whistleblower?
Well, you've got to... Are you suggesting that the NBN should not have sought to identify the leaks from the company?
I'm suggesting that this...
Tell me, what is your... Are you saying the NBN should not have sought to ensure the security of their own information?
I'm wondering whether or not this investigation should have had such a priority, given we're talking about someone that would consider themselves a whistleblower, and, for example, national security leaks have not gone down this far, this sort of path of investigation and raids.
Well, the decision to investigate was taken by the Australian Federal Police independently of government. That is taken independently of government, and the decision to refer the matter to the Federal Police was taken by the NBN Co. Then the Federal Police had to decide whether to investigate it. They did. They made that decision independently, and then they pursued their investigation, and we saw some of the consequences of that just the other day. Can I just finish? The NBN Co, as I've said, is a very big, very transparent, very accountable business. It is accountable to Parliament through the Senate, and it publishes constantly information about its progress, its financials, its targets, its rollout figures. It is as transparent as you could imagine. It's as transparent as any public listed company, if not more so. In fact, I would say it's more transparent than that. It provides more information. Now, what was going on there was that there were, as we know, as you know, a series of leaks out of the company that undermines the confidence of the people working in the company. It's very difficult to work in an organisation if you think that anything you write, any proposal you make, any discussion you have could be leaked out. So confidentiality is important in any organisation, even I might say in media organisations. And so the management were perfectly entitled to be concerned about that. And so they took the steps they did. And we've seen they asked the AFP to take an interest in it. The AFP independently sought to investigate it and have done so. And that, frankly, should be the end of the commentary. What we should do, as with all the other matters the AFP is investigating, we should let them get on with their job. And Mr. Shorten and Mr. Dreyfus's attack on the integrity of the AFP is shameful.
But on that accountability, you
Let's
want...
have one more question, yeah.
Should they be? Should the AFP be a bit more transparent, perhaps, about why they pursue some investigations over others, in order for the public to have more confidence, I guess, in terms of that independence of the organisation?
Well, I've never heard any senior political figure attack the integrity of the Australian Federal Police in the way Mark Dreyfus and Bill Shorten did yesterday. I know, obviously, they started to pedal backwards when they realised they'd overreached. But you can see what they did was attack the integrity of the men and women of the Australian Federal Police that stand between us and many threats, many dangers. Those men and women work very long hours. They're protecting Australia. They're protecting all of us. And they act independently. They act with integrity. They act in very difficult circumstances. And when many matters are referred to them, they decide independently whether to investigate them. They obviously have to take a practical assessment of what the prospects of a successful conclusion of an investigation may be. And when they choose to investigate it, they proceed with it, and then, depending on what they find, other consequences can follow. But I can tell you, my government stands with the police. We defend our security services. We defend our domestic security services, just as we defend the men and women working for border protection, just as we defend the men and women in the ADF serving overseas. National security is indivisible. Australians know where my government stands on national security, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with the men and women, including those in the Australian Federal Police, who keep us safe. Thank you all very much.
Family of the Australian man killed.